So I am so very excited this evening to welcome Delvin and Brenda Martin as our special guests tonight. And I met them both at the Bloomingdale's Shopping Spree last year. And I just love you both to pieces because you are the most humble and down-to-earth people. And something that just fascinates me is, you know, we have people all the time that are like, I don't have time for this business. And I'm like, okay, if the Martins have time for this business and they have 11 children, they, you know, homeschool. And didn't you have like another side business as well as you were working the business?
Well, right. My husband does custom kitchen cabinets. So he was doing that. Plus we have a little side business. This would become a primary business in a lot of ways of shipping hobby lumber.
Yes. So, I mean, you know, you have got a lot of irons in the fire. And I know that so many people on this call admire you and respect you. And we are just so excited to hear from the two of you. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to the two of you, and you can just go ahead and share your testimony. And then anyone along the way, if you have questions, you can just ask it in the little chat, and then at the end, we will get those questions for them. So go ahead.
Okay, well, we're excited to be able to share. We just really don't get tired of sharing our story, do we?
Nope.
To say that Plexus is life-changing for us is like an understatement. It's just been night and day difference for so many things for us, except one thing, and that is that we are still who we always were before Plexus. I mean, we have more energy, we feel better, we both feel 20 years younger, but our lives are just not the same. Why don't you start out with kind of where we found ourselves 3 years ago when we heard about Plexus?
Well, 3 years ago, we had a lot of debt. Brenda was spending most of her days on the couch. I thought life as we knew it was over. Yeah, it was. I'd kind of quit dreaming. I mean, you know, had all these things we wanted to do, but, you know, she didn't have her health anymore. We were in debt. I knew we were going to be paying this for years, and, you know, we were making progress, but it was slow. So, you know, and I was feeling bad for my sons because they were working for me and we weren't able to pay them much. So, you know, you can only go so long like that. And, you know, I was getting pretty discouraged, but, yeah, Plexus came along and I have my energetic wife back and we're paying off debt and, we feel good. So life is great.
And one thing that Delvin has said is that now we can actually do our dreams. We can dream again and we can do them. We're kind of a family of dreamers. We sit around the dinner table and we all talk about all these great, wonderful things we wish we could do or what we would do if. And now to be able to actually do those things, you know, right there, that should be motivation enough for anybody. And you mentioned us being busy. I find it two things interesting. That busy people often succeed at this business. And I think it's because they're the ones, they have a lot of irons in the fire already because they like to do things. Or just because that's where they found themselves in their life. And usually if you're successful at being busy, you'll be successful at this business. Does that make sense? Because you just find time to work in what's important, and you keep. I like to think of my people ask me about time management a lot. I don't call it balanced time management. I call it juggling. There's always something going, right? And we're just kind of keeping these balls in the air. And we always focus on the most important things and keep those going. And so it's just kind of a juggling act for us most of the time. But what I was going to say about where we found ourselves, Delvin mentioned I was on the couch every day. I was starting to get like depressed because like Delvin said, we just didn't see a lot of hope. Our future just looked so bleak. I want to stress we were happy. We were having fun as a family. We were secure in the Lord. He had blessed us so much. We loved our children dearly. We loved our life. But at the same time, when we thought of our future, we lost a lot of sleep at night. And we were really to the point of thinking, are we even going to be able to keep our house, our property here? So I was praying for something big. I somehow just felt that if God's going to do something for us, it's got to be big. We have a big family. We have a big debt. We have big problems. And so bring something big, please, Lord, was my prayer. And so when Plexus came, our initial reaction was, there's no way we're getting involved in network marketing, right?
That's right. I didn't want to be one of those people.
He was like, you can take the products, but if she tries talking you into doing that as a business, we just don't do those things. We've gotten 20 some years in our marriage without touching those things, and I'm not about to change that now. I was pretty sure he was going to say no to this whole thing, and I was starting to get a little bit excited because I'm a red, by the way, if you know the color personalities of MLMs. I heard what the diamonds were making, and that was motivation enough for me. So if you don't know what the diamonds are making, you go find out. Go ask a diamond, okay? Because you have to know the possibilities of this business. And when I kind of sat down, I think we even discussed it with Delvin a little bit at the breakfast table one morning. Hey, if we were making $20,000 a month, how long do you think it would take to pay off our debt? Well, that looked a whole lot more doable than the 30-some years we were looking at currently. Well, here we are 3 years later, huge business debt paid off. And because I saw that it was a possibility, it was real. I knew that there were people doing this, and I knew God answered my prayer. And what was the thing that made you decide, yeah, I think we should get into this?
Well, the thing that sold me was the fact when you started feeling better, and I looked at the business plan, and it just made sense because it was product driven. It wasn't driven by how many people you sign up, and charging them, $1,200-$1,500 to sign up to join. I mean, $34. I mean, nobody's getting rich off of $34 per person, but the products work. And you didn't have to buy a ton of inventory. You didn't have to ship them. It just, to me, it was just the most fair way to market a product that I had ever seen.
And I had friends invite me to join them in MLMs before, and his response was always, well, you have to go out and do parties to make this work, and there's no way I, as a homeschooling mama, could be leaving and doing parties all the time. And so we saw that Plexus was different. The products were different. They're desperately needed. And I'm like, I can only talk so many people into buying a gadget or a handy dandy little something or other, but I can talk everybody into feeling better. Everybody needs this. I can passionately and without 1 ounce of guilt tell every person that I run into that they have got to try this. That's different from most things you would be selling, right? Life-changing products is a whole different story than other things I had looked at considering selling. So that's what changed our minds. And then we saw that Plexus was so different. They were fair. There was being done right, and there was actual success happening in this business. So based on that, Delvin said, well, I think you can do this. I told my sponsor, okay, I'm committed. And I kind of in my mind thought, I'm going to do this for a year and just see what can happen. And I got busy talking to everybody. I dug into my old address book, my contact lists everywhere, all my Facebook friends. I started posting on Facebook something that I said I was never going to do because I didn't want to be one of those people either. But, I saw it as a lifeline that I was just holding in my hand, and there were people drowning and needing this. And so why would I not throw that out there? it's like all selfish and self-centered to worry about posting on Facebook what somebody's going to think. Big whoop. There's like so many people that need this. I don't care about the few skeptics. And well, I mean, there's a lot of skeptics, but I don't care about the few that want to give me a hard time. And there were some that did that. I was in tears more than once. Like, how can they be so mean? But I learned to be unemotional about responses and move on, because there's always more people who are waiting and praying for what I have to offer. So yeah, our story is basically that I hit this hard. We sat down with the family even and said, Mama's going to work this. Delvin was super supportive, and just, the family all worked to keep things going so I could spend more time at the computer. And yeah, there's just no end to what can happen with this business. And if there's just one thing I, could stress to you guys, is to just know you can do this if you are consistent and focused. I've been this month really focusing on coaching and troubleshooting with some of my level ones. And I'm realizing when I ask a lot of questions and just really find out what's going on with them, they simply aren't working. They want the business, they want success, they have a goal of emerald, but when you get down to what they're doing daily, it's not matching up to that goal. Was I kind of crazy about my daily work?
Definitely. There's been many times where we get up and we get about ready to get in the shower, and she's like before bed. Yeah. And in the evening, we get upstairs and she's like, oh, I forgot to do my 3 people. So she would literally go back downstairs and send them an email so that she got her 3 people that day. So she was very, very, very consistent about that.
Yeah. And, it's one of those things where I didn't even know at the time how valuable that was. It's just that I decided I had to hold myself to something or I wouldn't get it done. And back then, how many of you have seen the old success kits that we used to get before our new ones? Any of you get the old ones? In there was this little magnet thing that you could put up on the refrigerator that had 3 basic things to do or something like that. One of those was to contact 2 to 3 people a day. And I looked at that and I'm like, well, I can do that. I mean, how hard is that? So that's what I held myself to doing. Some days, of course, it was 10 or 20 people, but I made sure it was always at least 3. So that's what I found to be key, was consistent work and focus. Like, I didn't let anything distract me from this. It had to be, for us, it was kind of do or die. And if you would experience what we're now experiencing, I think you would say it's do or die for you too. I just did a Zoom for my team this evening, and I, before I closed, I said, okay, I want you guys to leave here and imagine something. Imagine if you were sitting down to pay bills and you had enough to pay everything. You had 0 credit card balances because you're able to keep them paid off every month. Imagine if a need came along and you think nothing of giving $500 here or $200 there to help people and to spread the gospel. Imagine if you were able to build your dreams and the dreams of your family. So that's the life I'm living now, and I want that for all of you. And if that's what you want, then you're going to work Plexus, because there is no better opportunity out there. If you're thinking, oh, this is getting too hard because of some of the back office issues, or our summer was kind of slow and you're just not sure this is for you after all, people are dropping off, they say the products don't work. Well, that's up to you. You can go try to find something else. I'll guarantee you will not find anything as doable, as generous, and as fun as Plexus is. So just get that out of your heads right now. There's really nothing else out there. We have been home business owners for most of our married life, so 20 years. And I don't know, how do you compare Plexus to any other business?
You can't really compare it. I mean, what other business can you start for $34.95. I mean, if you want to do a business that, you know, say a franchise or something that's already set up to go, you know, you're still going to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars. You know, I started out my business just buying a few tools and, you know, buying as we went, but you still, you know, you still spend $100,000 on tools and still not have enough work coming in to pay for those. So this, to me, this is just a no-brainer. I mean, it's so simple, it's set up. It's just fantastic.
Yeah. And if you want to be successful, just find a successful person and copy what they do. It's so simple. Again, I just repeat basics all the time to my team. If you want to know how to inspire your team, just keep it simple. Everybody needs to know they can do this and that it's doable, because we don't want to complicate things. The same thing that made Sheila Medina successful is the same thing that's going to make us successful. And that woman works. She still works. I have been privileged to spend time with her on several occasions in the past year, and we're together for some Plexus event and like trainings and that. And she's like, oh, I'm gonna have to do a Zoom this evening, so I'm gonna be gone for a little bit. I mean, she's still working. And so that's what it really is for all of us, is keeping it simple, contacting people, knowing that you can do this, setting your goals big. Forget the little goals. I mean, you have to have the little reachable goals, but I mean, have a big goal and always keep that out there. And then it's your little goals that are going to get you there. I know every time I hit a rank, I would be like, oh, cool, another stepping stone. Did that. I'm moving on. Ready for the next one. I never, sat back and, oh, I'm gold now. This feels good. Oh, man, how am I going to get to the next one? I just kept doing what I was doing, and it kept working. So it's really that simple and exciting, because this company treats you right, guys. You will never, never be let down for your hard work with this company. I feel like I've rambled enough. Are you ready to open it up for some questions, Angie?
Yes, I just love that. And I love the visionary that you gave of thinking about that, because it is so true that this company, this opportunity can offer just this incredible freedom that, I mean, I never even thought possible. So I loved that. So can you kind of tell us, like, I mean, I'm sure that's what everybody wants to know, is like your time management. And I know you kind of touched on that a little bit, but what is like your daily DMO? Like, do you have a method of operation, something that you do daily that you kind of mix in, or?
Okay, well, it looked, I don't know if you want to hear the diamond one or the gold one. When I was beginning my journey, it looked a little different than it does now.
So maybe like share both, kind of share what it looked like in the beginning, and then definitely, I mean, as you've grown and now you have this enormous team underneath you, how it is now.
Okay, sure. In a lot of ways it's the same, but I'll explain to you how it's a little bit different. In the beginning, of course, like I mentioned, I was always contacting people. Then I would keep a record of who I contacted, and don't ask me about my record, because that's just always changing and evolving, and what works for me may not work for you. But I'm pretty simple. I have my lists of paper in a notebook. I have my sticky notes on my planner. So do whatever works for you. But I kept my running list of the people that I contacted so I could follow up with them. And so I'm doing my follow-up every day. I actually love using these spreadsheets that have floated around through, I think, a lot of the teams. The one is called the Perfect 10, and the other is called the Power Plan. They were just a nice little layout to where I could kind of keep track of my potentials, my customers, my goals, all that on one paper. And that was really powerful for me. And then I would post once, 2 or 3 times on Facebook about Plexus, and then along with, 5 or 6 other regular posts. I would do 3-way calls, and every time somebody joined my team, I'm doing a phone call with them. or in person, but I don't have very many local people. My team is scattered all over the US, all over the world. So I would always just get on the phone. As soon as they join, I'd set up a time, get them on the phone, go over the back office, and plant seeds when I'm in the back office. That's my main purpose, besides just showing them how they can place their order. I show them, so here's where you'll look when you get customers. Here's where you can see what you get paid, because it's almost impossible to not get paid in Plexus. That's kind of, you know, to me it was huge to always connect with somebody as soon as they join. I offered to do launches. I would drive, 7 to 10 hours to do a launch for somebody. And in the beginning, if I felt like they were really could be encouraged by that, and they were already proving to me that they were growing the business and adding people to their team. So that was probably, you know, that's kind of my daily, doing my own personal work, connecting with my team. Now I do a lot more 3-ways and Zooms. So those are huge. Isn't that awesome that we can do that and like connect face to face with our people? I just love that. So we utilize that a lot, but you guys never, ever stop working your own personal business. You'll find as you grow, you're, you know, I don't know, somewhere around Ruby, senior Ruby, you tend, even at Gold, you can tend to get into management mode to where your team's always coming to you with questions. And I'll tell you my little secret how I kind of handle some of that. If it's my level 1, I respond to them fairly quickly. If it's my deeper levels, I don't open the message for a day or two, just so they know and get conditioned that I'm not here for them. I can't. I want to. My heart is to answer immediately. But if I do that, I get overwhelmed. I get stressed. I'm no good to anybody. So I prioritize the people that you know, my management mode has to have some control. And of course, I'm still working my business. I just did some follow-ups over the weekend. I did some today, and that will never change for me.
I love that. And I love how you talk about, because that's something that I find myself, and I'm sure as people grow, their teams grow, that it is so easy to get trapped into that management mode, and you kind of stop working your business and you're so like consumed with. So I love that you touched on that. And I really love about prioritizing kind of that management mode. That is wonderful. So I was asked this earlier about casting vision, and I know like your whole team is really big on kind of casting the vision onto your team, because you have a very successful team as a whole. And so how do you do that? How do you get that vision out onto your leaders so they, do you know what I'm saying?
I feel like Kristen Abart, my sponsor, has been a big key in that regard in our team. She's not afraid to talk about the business and big goals, and to tell you that she thinks you can do it. And if you don't do it, you're kind of crazy, because after all, this is the best opportunity ever. She's a very matter of fact that, I mean, goodness, get with it, work this thing, you know. She just makes you feel like you can, you want to. But I think just giving people the tools, like I said, keeping it simple to where they know that basically this is all about caring about people, reaching out to let others know there's hope. I don't know. What else do we do, hon? Yeah, you kind of stumped me just a little bit, because thing of it is, leaders do not pull people along with them. They inspire. And so getting to know your team and knowing what's going to inspire your people, your level 1s, you need to know them well. Ask them questions, find out their needs, their why, and inspire them towards that. Kristen knew my why was to get out of debt and, you know, do well for my family financially. And so one of the first things she told me was how much diamonds we're making. And so I think learning to speak the language of your leaders and inspiring them based on what you know motivates them is probably a big deal.
I think that's a good point. You know, everybody's different, and what inspires them is different. I mean, it's the same with our kids. We don't have any two of them that are the same, so you don't handle them all the same. You train them in the way they need to be trained. So it's kind of the same with a team. I mean, the very same principles apply.
Maybe that's why it was kind of hard to answer, because it's sort of a instinctive thing for us.
No, and I love that, and I totally agree with that about, you know, learning how to speak their language, because that when you did the call the other day about the different colors, and it was like, oh, well, and it really made me think about, you know, like, I don't know, someone hates all caps and exclamation marks, and I'm like, I do it all the time. But, you know, learning to speak the language of your team, but also learning, you know, to speak the language of other people that you're reaching out to. That was a fabulous call. So if no one has heard that, it is posted on the team page, and I think it was called Priority. What was it called? Color something.
You mean?
Yeah, that color.
The Zoom?
Yes, the Zoom one.
I forget the title.
Oh, it was so good. I'll make sure to double post it later on. Okay, so we have another question here. Let's see. Okay, and they're asking, like, can you give an example? So when you reach out to someone on Facebook, what do you normally message them? Kind of like your first, like your cold message. What do you send to them?
If I know that they've been Facebook friend for a while, I always ask them, what do they think of my Plexus post? Have you noticed my Plexus post? Does that interest you or someone you know? Well, initially, I usually start out my message by saying something to them about them. Like, hey, I just saw you got back from vacation. Looks like you had so much fun. You know, make a connection. Like, you're not just like all about Plexus. You care about them too, and you've noticed them and their lives, and you comment on that. But then I like I said, if they've been seeing my Facebook post, that's a great way to bring it up. I like to end a message with a question so that they feel a little more motivated to respond. If they're not on Facebook, seeing my posts, which of course is a small percentage of my friends, I would probably tell them my story first, kind of briefly. Hey, you know, this might seem kind of out of the blue to you, but I've recently been so changed by a product that got to the root issues in my body, like nothing else I ever tried before. And I'm just curious if you know anyone who's dealing with health issues that could benefit from it too.
Yes, I love that. And I love it's kind of like short, sweet, and to the point, that you make that connection and then kind of throw in Plexus and in with a question. I love that. I'm
a red, so I hate long messages.
Yes. Well, I'm a blue, and it's not very fun to read a long message. So I'm like, oh, let's go to the next thing. Delete. How long you've been in the business for 3 years, right?
Yes.
And then how long did it take you to get to Diamond?
That was 20 months. 9 months to Emerald, 20 months to Diamond.
20 months.
And then you were, I think Delvin was Diamond like 11 months later, not quite a year later, something like that.
Wow. Hold on, make sure.
Here's 10. This is 10.
That is incredible. So in, 3 years, you're both, hold on, I'm sorry. I lost my little question here. So did you see on Facebook, was Kristen posting about Plexus, like kind of what, or did she reach out to you?
No, I had never heard of Plexus, never seen a Facebook post, nothing. When she told me, she just called me one day. It was literally the same afternoon when she joined. I was the first person she had called. And so we had no expectations really when we took the product and started the business. Even when I started the business, I did not see another single Facebook Plexus post before I posted my own. I probably just friended Sonia Dudley and maybe a couple people like that about the same time. So it's different than it is now.
Yes, it is. So tell me about, like, you know, kind of maybe your struggles along the way and what helped you persevere, if there were like books or things that you did that helped you persevere through those.
My struggles were probably people. Family. I still, you know, my personal family still isn't on board. They don't talk about it. I can spend an entire weekend with them and nobody mentions the word plexus with the exception of one. So that's been hard. And I've had people that I talk to and they're just shocked when they find out family doesn't even do plexus. But it wasn't like it ever held me back. I mean, I wasn't going to let anything hold me back when God obviously brought this to me. I mean, there's no way anybody was going to convince me not to do it. But it was still, you know, difficult. And then, of course, other skeptics, people saying it doesn't work. And I, you know, honestly, guys, I feel like probably one of the biggest keys to my success was my consistent follow-up. I spent hours troubleshooting with people, tweaking, you know, what they're taking, asking them questions, on and on, try to get somebody to hang on just for another month. And it was worth it. But that's where so much of my time and energy went. What was your question? Am I getting off subject?
No. I mean, that was really good. So I was just talking about your struggles and kind of what you know. I mean, that is really, really good. And I like that you mentioned family, because sometimes the people that are closest to us are maybe the most critical, or maybe like, you know, negative about, you know, I know that was my experience when I first started too. But no, and I love that you touched on the follow-up. And I mean, how many times do you feel like you follow up with someone before you give up on them?
Yeah. Oh, I guess I never really give up on anybody.
Yes.
He thinks I'm a little bit, what do you call me?
I always say there's a fine line between caring and nagging, and she pushes the line.
I care.
But you're dying,
I care to
so, I mean, it's working.
Yeah. No, but that's really, I think, is key. I mean, if you're going to do this business, there has to be more than just the money and, you know, the Lexus and all that stuff. I mean, you have to truly care for people. You know, that's what it really comes down to.
No, I completely agree with that. Is there anyone else that has a question that they would like to post? I know I kind of there was a bunch of things right here. And okay. I am going to, let me just make sure, because I had some other questions that people asked me before, and I want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Okay. Yes. Okay.
Sure, I got addressing it because she really has.
Well, I appreciate, I'm sorry, I was just making sure I didn't miss anyone's question that they asked me earlier. But I appreciate you two so much. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule, because I know that you must have a crazy schedule. But thank you so much for taking time out and for being such a huge inspiration, because I know to me and to so many on my team, I mean, you two are such a huge inspiration. And I just kind of look, I'm like, if they can do it, if they can juggle all the irons that they have in the fire, that anybody can do this business. And I knew I'd keep talking and somebody would answer. Okay, so on the spreadsheet, where did you say those spreadsheets are posted at?
Well, I can send them to you, Angie. I have them in my team group. They're really just more a simple document. I don't know why I said spreadsheet, but anyway, they're just
Okay.
nice
If
guidelines.
you could send those to me, and then I'll post those on my team page. And then it says, what do you do for people who aren't consistently, and I guess they stop ordering?
Oh, because they're not consistent, that's why they quit, because the products didn't work. I just let them go for the most part, but I don't let them go without something to think about. So I'd probably say something like, well, I have found that these products work best for those who are consistent, who take it very faithfully every day and take the exact dose that I recommend for at least 2 months. And since you haven't done that, then no wonder it's not working. I'm sorry you wasted your money, but you could probably redeem that by giving it another shot, and I'm here to help you and support you the whole way.
Oh my goodness, I'm probably going to watch this again and write that down. That is so good.
I tell you, I don't give up on them. I plant seeds before I leave.
No, I think that is great, because you're still kind of exactly planting that seed and placing kind of maybe that doubt in their mind, like, okay, maybe I didn't give this enough time. Maybe I wasn't consistent with my product. So how do you convince people to order preferred instead of retail?
Oh, that's easy.
Yes.
I don't have any retail customers unless they insist. They have to fight me on it to get retail. Okay. So I always tell them, you're going to want to try these products for at least 60 days, maybe even 3 months, because that's when we see the best results. And you don't want to miss a day. So if you're going to order retail, you're going to pay more, and then you're probably going to forget to place your order in time, and you'll miss a few days, because if you order preferred, you get a discount, and then it will come to you automatically, so you can try it for those whole 60 days or 90 days or whatever without skipping a day. It's so convenient.
And this is not asked, but it kind of leads into that. So if you have a preferred customer, I mean, how do you flip someone from a preferred to a wholesale?
Well, once they're happy on the product, I mean, as soon as they mention, hey, I noticed I'm sleeping better, or better, less cravings, I say, oh, that's a perfect sign that these are going to be even better results in a couple months. And you probably want to consider getting them at a better discount than you are now, because that'll save you a lot. And maybe give them a couple quick figures, like, $15 a month savings. Look what that could add up to. And usually at that point, they're also, at some point, they have talked about somebody that they know that could use it. And so I'm like, well, if that's the case, you want to get them on it, but I don't want to reap the benefit from that. I want you to. And so you join, you get a website, you can share with them. You can soon have your products paid for.
Oh, I love that. So it says, how do you cold message someone about the business opportunity?
I'm not a very good one to ask that. I don't do a lot of cold messaging. I am a people person, a relationship person. And so I establish a relationship with them first. Even if it's not in person, even if it's online, I friend them. I let them see my posts for a while. I like their stuff. I comment on their stuff. It's kind of hard for me to talk outside of Facebook. When I meet somebody, someone did my nails or whatever, and we connected, I'm on the follow-up with them. I guess that could be called cold marketing. But I don't know. I like to have connection with them before I bring up Plexus, usually.
Yes, and I agree with that too. A lot of times too, it's better to kind of have that connection, build that relationship, and then it makes it a lot easier to kind of talk to them about it kind of comes naturally to talk to them about the products, talk to them about the business after you've kind of developed a little bit of a relationship with them.
Yeah, and they'll stick with you if they kind of trust you more because you cared about them as a person first. They're not as likely to, okay, just try it to make you shut up and then quit. They'll be more willing to listen to you and stick with you.
Yeah, so it's almost like they have a little more commitment towards you because you developed that relationship with them. So I love that. And I even love, because sometimes I have a tendency to just kind of run right into plexus when I send a message to people. So I love that, kind of making that personal connection first, because I mean, it is what we are doing is a relationship business. So it's all about building relationships with people and to help them, with their health and to have a better opportunity in life. So I love that. And I absolutely adore you two. I cannot wait to see you in Hawaii very, very soon, just a little over a month away. Thank you so, so much for taking time out to pour into my team and to invest in our team. And I just appreciate you. Thank you for all the value that you've given to us tonight. I hope that y'all all have a wonderful, wonderful evening. And I will see you in 1 month.
Yes, sounds good. Thank you. It was a privilege.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening.